In the warm, quiet living room, where family pictures filled the walls like a mosaic of happy memories, Amara sat with her father, Chief John. The air was calm, filled with the peaceful murmur of their conversation about school, tender memories of Amara's late mother, and the hopeful whispers of their plans for the future. Her father placed a gentle, reassuring hand on her shoulder, his eyes reflecting a deep, unwavering affection. "You are my greatest blessing, Amara," Chief John said, his voice filled with a sincerity that warmed her heart. Amara smiled, a genuine, comforting smile, feeling the profound safety of his love. The memory of her mother's passing was a quiet shadow, a time when their world had been shaken to its core. But in that shared grief, father and daughter had leaned on each other, forging an unbreakable bond. They had promised to stay close, to support each other without fail, and to protect the sanctity of their family. Though an emptiness remained, their home continued to be a sanctuary of love, a testament to the strength they found in one another. University life brought new beginnings. In the hushed halls of the campus library, Amara saw a girl struggling, her fingers just missing a book on a high shelf. Without a second thought, Amara stepped in, easily retrieving the book and handing it over with a kind smile. "You just saved me," the girl said, her relief turning into a laugh. "I'm Fumi." That simple act was the seed of a profound friendship. Soon, Amara and Fumi were inseparable. They were a common sight on campus, studying together in the library, sharing meals in the bustling cafeteria, and walking side by side under the shade of the old campus trees. People admired their bond, a beautiful harmony of opposite personalities. Fumi's bubbly energy balanced Amara's calm grace. To Amara, Fumi became the sister she had always wished for, a kindred spirit who understood her without words. One evening, Amara found her father sitting alone in his study, a pensive silence hanging in the air. He was gazing at the empty spaces his late wife once filled, a quiet sadness etched on his face. He noticed Amara's presence and hesitated for a moment before speaking, his voice gentle but heavy with unspoken loneliness. "One day you will marry, Amara," Chief John began. "This house will feel even emptier then. Maybe I need someone to talk to again." The words startled Amara. The thought of her father remarrying had never crossed her mind. A storm of conflicting emotions brewed within her. Later that night, she confided in Fumi, her voice trembling with uncertainty. Fumi listened intently, her expression serious, and then she said something that shocked Amara to her core. "What if I help?" Fumi suggested, her eyes earnest. "You know me, your father knows me through you. I could support the family, not replace your mother." Amara was stunned, yet touched by what seemed like an incredible act of loyalty. Fumi's words sounded sincere, a promise of support and continuity. After days of deep, troubled thought, Amara cautiously brought the idea to her father. Chief John was hesitant, concerned about the age difference and the judgment of society. But seeing the logic in Amara's plea, he agreed to meet Fumi respectfully, simply to understand her better. Fumi arrived for a simple family lunch, her demeanor a picture of grace and humility. She spoke politely, appreciated the history woven into the walls of their home, and shared stories of her community work, of her passion for caring for others. Chief John watched her silently, his discerning eyes trying to read her intentions, to peer into her heart. Later, out of a deep-seated need to protect his family's future, he privately arranged for background checks through trusted friends. It wasn't born of suspicion, but of caution. The results came back clean, painting a picture of an ordinary, simple life. With a thoughtful sigh, he decided to proceed, but to do so slowly, with great care. Months later, a peaceful and elegant wedding took place. Respected guests filled the hall, their whispers and stories floating in the air like confetti. Cameras flashed, capturing the composed smiles of the new family. Standing beside Fumi, who looked radiant in her wedding attire, Amara smiled softly. "We're truly family now," Amara whispered. "Always," Fumi replied, her eyes shining with promise. The moment felt perfect, a portrait of hope and new beginnings. But as the days turned into weeks, something began to shift, a subtle change in the atmosphere of the home. In the first weeks of the marriage, Amara noticed Fumi growing distant. The warmth that had defined their friendship was replaced by a polite formality. Fumi became more focused on her new responsibilities as the lady of the house, less available for the sisterly talks that Amara cherished. Amara tried to rationalize it, telling herself it was the natural stress of adjusting to married life, of learning to manage a large home. She tried not to worry. Then, the misunderstandings began. Chief John started receiving quiet reports from staff, comments about Amara's late study hours, miscommunications with the household help, small mistakes made around the house. Amara calmly denied these things, her respect for her father unwavering. She remained open and steady, but the incidents kept piling up. Chief John wasn't angry, but a seed of confusion was planted in his mind. He asked questions kindly, seeking clarity, but the fog of miscommunication only seemed to thicken. Amara felt a growing sense of unease, a feeling that something was deeply wrong. though she couldn't pinpoint the source. Fumi's role in the household became more pronounced. She began to oversee schedules, meetings, and daily tasks with a new, firm tone that surprised everyone. The cheerful, easygoing girl they knew was replaced by someone who seemed, at times, stressed and strict. The peaceful environment of the home grew tense, the staff uncertain of the new dynamics. Amara tried to reach out to her friend, to bridge the growing chasm between them. "We used to talk about everything," she said one afternoon, her voice filled with concern. "Are you okay?" Fumi would offer a faint, distant smile, but she skillfully avoided any deep conversation. The change was subtle, not overtly harmful, but the emotional distance was a tangible presence in the house. Amara felt increasingly isolated. Her father, preoccupied with his newfound companionship and recovery from years of loneliness, seemed less attuned to her silent struggles. Fumi was consumed by her new life. The staff, caught in the middle, were unsure whom to follow. Amara tried to help, to be useful, but it was as if an invisible force was working against her. Notes she left for her father would go missing. Messages she was meant to receive were misread. Tasks she had no knowledge of were reported as incomplete. There was no outright cruelty, only a relentless tide of confusion, distance, and emotional strain that left her feeling adrift in her own home. Chief John, a man of quiet observation, began to notice the subtle cracks in his family's foundation. He saw the way Amara and Fumi interacted less and less, the way small miscommunications spiraled into larger misunderstandings, and the way the serene calmness of his home was slowly fading. He didn't accuse anyone. Instead, he became more thoughtful, more observant. He knew both young women well and understood that misunderstandings, left unchecked, could destroy even the strongest bonds. Quietly, he had extra security cameras installed in the shared areas of the house. It was not an act of spying, but a measure for safety and accountability. He wanted truth, clarity, and a return to the peace his home had once known. The breaking point came one evening when Amara overheard a phone conversation. It was Fumi's mother, her tone strict and demanding, advising her daughter on how to manage the household more carefully, how to maintain a certain image and command respect. There was no malice in her words, only pressure and high expectations. But in her fragile state, Amara misinterpreted the conversation. She believed she was the source of the pressure on Fumi, the reason for her friend's stress. A wave of guilt she didn't deserve washed over her. She retreated to her room and cried quietly, overwhelmed by a sense of failure and loss. Seeing both his daughter and his wife under visible strain, Chief John knew it was time to intervene. He called Amara and Fumi to the living room, his voice calm but firm. "I want peace and understanding in this home," he declared. "No more assumptions. No more distance. Let us talk openly." Tears streaming down her face, Amara explained her confusion, her sadness, and her feeling of being pushed away. Fumi, her own eyes welling up, admitted she had been under immense pressure, trying too hard to fit into her new role and live up to her mother's expectations. With loving patience, Chief John addressed every misunderstanding, untangling the knots of confusion one by one. The tension in the room softened, replaced by the clarifying light of truth. For the first time in months, the three of them sat together without discomfort, without a wall of unspoken feelings between them. To solidify their new understanding, Chief John laid out new family rules: clear communication, shared decisions, mutual respect, and dedicated family time every weekend. There would be no more assumptions without asking directly. The house felt lighter, and a sense of hope returned. Amara felt it, and Fumi, looking relieved, did too. But even as the air cleared, a deeper unspoken tension lingered. Something was still not right, a current flowing beneath the surface. The story of their home, their family, was far from over. The city lights blurred through the rain-streaked window of the bus. Ben stares out, the reflection of his tired face superimposed on the passing scenery. He pulls a worn photograph from his wallet, picture of him and Esther, smiling, taken in what feels like another lifetime. He sighs, tucking it away as the bus slows to a stop. Ixt Inagu bus terminal night. Ben steps off the bus, a single heavy bag slung over his shoulder. The air is thick with the scent of rain and exhaust. He looks around, a stranger in a city that was once his whole world. He pulls up the collar of his jacket against the persistent drizzle and starts walking, each step weighed down by the past. Esther's apartment, same time. Esther sketches furiously in her notebook, the charcoal pencil scratching against the paper. The drawings are chaotic, fragmented images of faces and shadows. Ada enters the room, holding 2 mugs of steaming tea. She places one gently on the table beside Esther. "Ada, you're going to wear a hole through that page." Esther stops, looking down at the frantic lines she's created. She doesn't reply. Ada counted. "It's been months. Esther, you've been distant. It's not just about Ben anymore, is it?" Esther finally looks up, her eyes holding a deep, unsettled exhaustion that goes beyond a broken heart. "Esther, it's like his lies unlocked something else. Old doors I thought I'd locked for good. My past, Ada, the one I ran from before I ever met him. Ada sits beside her, her expression softening with concern. Ada, you don't have to carry that alone, you know that, right? Esther nods, but her gaze drifts back to the window, to the dark rain-slick streets outside. IX'd cheap motel later. Ben checks into a rundown motel on the outskirts of the city. The room is small, the air stale. He drops his bag on the floor and sits on the edge of the lumpy bed, the springs groaning in protest. He pulls out his phone and scrolls to Esther's contact, his thumb hovering over the call button before he closes it with a sigh of resignation. He knows words are no longer enough. Montage a week passes. Ben takes a manual labor job at a construction site, his hands quickly becoming calloused. He works from sunrise to sunset, pushing his body to its limits as if punishing himself. Esther visits a therapist for the first time. She sits stiffly on the couch, struggling to find the words for the anxieties that haunt her. Ben rents a small bare-bones room in a shared house, using the little money he's saved. He spends his evenings alone, reading books on self-improvement and accountability. Esther starts painting on a large canvas, but the colors are dark and muddy. She paints over her work again and again, frustrated. Ben tracks down Chukwu, who is initially hesitant to see him. They meet at a local bar Local bar night. The room is noisy, filled with laughter and loud music. Chukwu sips his beer, studying Ben. Chukwu, I heard you left town. Thought you'd run for good. Ben, I did, but running doesn't fix anything. I came back to make amends, not just with her, with myself. Chukwu raises an eyebrow, skeptical but intrigued. Chukwu, and how do you plan on doing that? Showing up on her doorstep isn't the answer. Ben, I know, that's why I'm not. I need to build a life worth respecting first. I need to become a man could have trusted, even if she never trusts me again. I got a job, a place to live. It's not much, but it's honest. Chukwu looks at Ben's rough hands, the exhaustion in his eyes. He sees a flicker of something new, not the old, charming Ben, but someone humbled, someone broken, and trying to rebuild. Chukwu, all right, one step at a time, but you stay away from her until you're sure you won't cause more damage. Ben nods, a silent promise passing between them. Next art gallery day, Ada has dragged Esther to a local art gallery opening. Esther wanders through the brightly lit space, feeling disconnected from the vibrant art and the chattering crowd. She stops in front of a painting, an abstract piece filled with turbulent dark strokes, but with a single, brilliant slash of gold cutting through the center. Ada OS, it's beautiful, isn't it? Esther turns as Ada joins her. Esther, it's chaotic, but hopeful. Ada, kind of like you. You have to let the light in. Esther, even just a little. Esther manages a small, genuine smile for the first time in weeks. Ixta construction site day. Ben is on his lunch break, sitting on a stack of cinder blocks, eating rice from a plastic container. He watches a family walk by. Father lifts his young daughter onto his shoulders, and she squeals with delight. A profound sadness washes over Ben, a deep understanding of the simple, honest moments he has forfeited. He takes out the small notebook Esther returned to him, its pages still blank. He opens it and, for the first time, begins to write. He doesn't write promises or apologies. He writes down his truths, his fears, the ugly parts of himself he's always hidden. Esther's apartment night. Esther stands before her canvas. Inspired by the gallery, she picks up a tube of gold paint. She takes a deep breath and adds a single, deliberate stroke of light to her dark, churning composition. It's not a fix, it's just a start. IXT market day weeks later. Esther is shopping for groceries, feeling lighter than she has in a long time. She's laughing at something the vendor says when she freezes. Across the crowded market, she sees him. Ben, he's thinner, his face weathered, dressed in simple work clothes. He's negotiating a price for a bag of yams. His posture different, less confident, more grounded. Their eyes meet for a fleeting second across the bustling space. A jolt passes through her. Ben gives a small, respectful nod, then immediately turns and walks away, disappearing into the crowd without a word. He didn't approach, he didn't try to speak. He saw her, acknowledged her, and gave her space. The gesture hits Esther with surprising force. It's an act of respect, not of pursuit. Therapist's office, days later. Esther, he walked away. The old Ben would have used it as an opportunity, a sign. He would have cornered me, pleaded his case. But he just left. Therapist, and how did that make you feel? Esther thinks for a long moment, tracing a pattern on the arm of the chair. Esther, safe for the first time. I felt like he understood what I needed more than what he wanted. Eixt Park, fountain, evening. Esther finds herself walking to the park, to the fountain where they last stood. The sun is setting, casting a warm orange glow over the water. She sits on the edge of the fountain, lost in thought. A few minutes later, she senses a presence. Ben is standing several feet away, holding his worn notebook. He looks nervous, but calm. Ben, Chukwu told me you've been working on things. I wasn't going to approach you, but I saw you here, and I wanted to give you this. He steps forward and places the notebook on the bench beside her, then immediately steps back, creating a safe distance between them. Ben can't. It's not an excuse, it's just the truth. All of it. What you do with it is your choice. I'll leave now. He turns to go. Esther, wait. He stops, his back still to her. She picks up the notebook and opens it. Inside, in his familiar handwriting, are pages filled not with pleas for forgiveness, but with raw, unflinching self-reflection, notes on his fears of failure, his habit of lying to feel adequate, his deep-seated insecurities. It's the honest confession she never got. Esther Kunt, you're right. This isn't an excuse. It's a beginning. Ben turns around slowly. Hope and fear mingle in his eyes. Esther commented, I've been working on myself too, facing my own ghosts. I'm learning that forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about accepting that the past happened and choosing to move forward anyway. She pats the space on the bench beside her. It's an invitation. Ben, are you sure? Esther, no, but I'm willing to be. He walks over and sits down, leaving a small, respectful space between them. For a long time, they just sit in silence, watching the last of the sunlight dance on the water. Outro scene. The quiet hum of the city at dusk surrounds them. Two people, side by side, not touching, but sharing the same air, the same moment. The space between them is no longer an empty chasm of betrayal, but a quiet field of possibility. Healing is not a destination. It is the brave, uncertain, and honest journey of starting again.